A decade ago, growing real meat directly from animal cells was a science fiction concept. Today, it is an active physical reality. In Sydney, Australia, Val recently opened a 20,000-liter production facility. At this scale, a single site can produce hundreds of tons of food annually. Cultivated meat has launched in American retail spaces and is currently appearing on restaurant menus across Singapore and Australia. The industry has decisively won the battle of scientific feasibility. The technology works. However, at the exact moment of this scientific triumph, the industry is colliding with a brutal collapse in private funding. This chart shows how venture capital investment shifted over 12 months. Funding fell from $144 million in 2024 to just $73.9 million in 2025. As a result, promising companies are laying off staff or shutting down because they cannot afford the transition to commercial scale. This is a classic technology hurdle known as the Valley of Death, the precarious gap where R&D is finished, but the heavy infrastructure for mass production isn't yet funded. This raises a central question. Why is a technology with the power to change the global food system facing an existential crisis right at the finish line? Historically, the biggest roadblock to profitability was the astronomical cost of cell culture media, the nutrient-dense broth required to grow the cells. By shifting to food-grade amino acids, the industry plummeted these media costs by 99%. As this chart shows, the benchmark is now under 20 cents per liter. While the cost issue was eventually solved, the years of intense R&D required to get there drained early startups of their financial runway. When the startup as Sci-Fi Foods went bankrupt, years of multi-million-dollar cell line research were nearly lost. Philanthropy stepped in to salvage the asset. The Good Food Institute acquired those bovine cell lines and open-sourced them to the public. By de-siloing research and treating cell lines as public infrastructure, the industry is saving the remaining players from wasting capital reinventing the wheel. As the industry matures, its intellectual property strategy is shifting from broad global hype toward guarded strategic protection. This data tracks annual patent filings. Notice the massive spike in unique innovations that occurred in 2022. The recent decline in new filings reflects a shift toward survival. Companies are focusing resources on protecting IP in the specific regional markets where they intend to sell. Geopolitics are now dictating the pace of adoption. China, for instance, committed over $555 million to domestic biomanufacturing to secure its own protein supply. In contrast, the European Union is currently debating legal bans on using words like meat or chicken to describe cultivated products. Consumer data shows that forcing companies to use unappealing labels actively confuses the public about critical safety information, such as allergenicity. Political roadblocks and labeling bans can artificially kill a viable product before consumers ever get a chance to taste it. The move fast and break things software approach has reached its limit in the food sector. Cultivated meat is in a phase of physical maturation. Scale requires building heavy, expensive factories filled with massive steel bioreactors. Surviving this transition requires deep-pocketed public investment, government grants, and shared pilot facility infrastructure. Achieving scale is fundamentally a physical engineering and infrastructure challenge, not a software update. Despite the financial hurdles, the macro necessity for this technology remains the same. The global population is nearing 10 billion. We must find a way to meet the soaring global demand for meat without buckling the planet's ecosystems. The science is undeniably here, and animal cells are actively growing at scale right now. Governments, researchers, and public-private partnerships must now step up to bridge the financial chasm and fully actualize this climate solution.